This performance is based on interviews recorded while Linda was in residency at the Orchard Project, New York, in June-July 2010. The opening paragraph is a quotation from an essay by David Foster Wallace and was used as the sound check for every interviewee.
There are these two young fish.
There are these two young fish swimming along.
And they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says,
"Morning, boys. How's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other one and goes, "What the hell is water?"
H, female, 28. I'm pretty doubtful. I'm really doubtful of myself. Like, I'm the kind of person who, like, I don't trust my own opinions. I always have to ask for, like, a second or third or fourth, fifth opinion of other people. I don't really trust my own gut instinct.
P, male, 68. Well, I guess the big uncertainty is how much longer I'm going to live. I've always sort of imagined that I was going to live a really long life, and it sort of kind of felt that I did the best work in the latter part of my life. And so far I'm healthy, so that's not that I'm thinking I'm going to die imminently, but and, you know, you just don't know. Things, you know, surprise you. So I guess that kind of uncertainty, it just makes it hard to sort of figure out how to pace yourself. How to, you know, whether you should be in a frenzy of getting things done, or whether have a kind of leisured 20 years to get it done. You know, I've never been leisurely. I've always been kind of driven. But economically, it's also that kind of thing. Should I be squirreling away money, or really should I be spending it? You know, kind of questions like that. And I guess the questions one always has throughout one's life become more heightened with it. You know, knowing that you're going to die, pretty sure within the next 20 years or so. You know, and just, are you spending your time wisely? Are you doing things you should be doing? Other experiences that you haven't had, or things for other people that you haven't done. You know, that kind of thing.
JU, female, 23. I feel hostile about, it's a kind of a teenage angst hostility that comes back. Very simple, closed off body language. I think when I get into those moods, very introverted, very twitchy also, and very wary of people. So I think those two go together, like being uncertain about something and also a lack of being able to trust people too. Because if I trust somebody, then I might love them, and if I love them, then they might go. And if they go, then yeah. H, female, 28. I used to get very cold, almost like as if my veins were filled with ice water. In moments of extreme uncertainty and fear, I think uncertainty is really linked with fear.
Banging.
You can really react with fear in the face of uncertainty. And I used to feel extremely cold, especially in my arms.
Slow, consistent banging.
Yeah.
T, male, 40. My father died when I was very young, and that introduced me to that things can end at an early age. That you don't, I didn't grow up thinking life is always going to work out. I grew up thinking life works out some days, and some days it doesn't.
AF, female, 23. I kind of feel something in, like a kind of subtle nervous feeling in like my chest whenever I think about it.
JA, male, 28. I feel abject terror rise up in my stomach when I'm not in control sometimes. I'm saying, when I'm in control, I'm certain of the entire, I know the variables. So when I'm in control, I'm certain I have all the knowledge.
Fridge.
I'm running the show.
Fridge.
And if I surrender that control,
Fridge.
a little bit. Uncertainty can creep in.
Fridge.
And
Car. Motorbike.
That's scary.
Another
I
bike.
feel it now, talking about it. It is...
Fridge.
It starts inside in my rib, like so where my rib cage meets my stomach, and it starts about halfway up, and it creeps up to the point where my rib cage comes together, and it's hot, and I get shortness of breath.
Fridge.
And I tend to get emotional. I mean, and it's a panic. It's a panic that
Car.
It's part of me. Yeah.
L, female, 35. Probably in my gut. Right, in my stomach, in my throat. Yeah. Yeah, like a closing, choking, like trying to hold something down, maybe. It's kind of this feeling of fear or doubt, sadness even, maybe. Yeah, I think those are the two major places. And maybe my hips also.
J.A., male, 28. A day before my stepdad died.
Fridge.
So I did everything for him. I totally took care of him for a year. For 1 day shy of a year, he lived.
Car.
1 day shy of a year, and I did everything for him. And then the day before he died, like
Fridge.
there was absolutely nothing to do. So I was like, every step of the way was a way to show love and also to fight against the certainty, because with the diagnosis, right, there was certain death with this diagnosis. Like 3% of people live outside, or 5% of people make it past 3 years. I mean, so it's just a death sentence. And that was unspoken, but it was the certainty of it was there. So every day was
Fridge.
about fighting that. And then when it
Car.
came to the moment when there was nothing left to do, I had 24 hours between that time and the time he died.
Fridge.
With no purpose.
Fridge.
So that was like the sucker punch in my gut of that moment when the hospice nurse said, you know, at this point he's gone and this is just the body left for another day or two. Was like, there's now nothing. Was a very empty.
Bird trill.
Empty feeling.
K, female, 24. People think that the end of the world is so far away, but it's not. The way that everything has broken down, I think that scares me.
AN, male, 25. I'm the worst at the ice cream counter. I cannot decide what I want, and I guess it's because of, I'm not sure what will be the biggest source of pleasure. What flavour will taste the best, or what mood I'm in. I don't know how I feel right now. So I don't know how that would come to bear on my choice of ice cream.
AM, male, 33. It's deep down in the depths of your stomach. You know, I feel like I need to go to the toilet when I feel uncertain. Sometimes when I feel uncertain, I'll just go, you know, like really, when you're sort of feeling scared, I like to sleep. But well, either the toilet or sleep.
H, female, 28. I always was, well, superstitiously believed in God, because I was like scared if I didn't believe in God, that God would punish me. And I used to do these really weird, almost OCD-like things where I would pray, but I would have to write out God's name in the mirror after I took a shower, like really weird things, because I thought if I didn't do that, God would get mad at me when I was a kid. R, female, 32. You know, I just know now that I'm going to be uncertain, that I'm going to be uncertain about things, about God, about which I've made a lot of effort to. I wanted to be religious so much. I wanted to know, and
Boys laughed nearby.
and more. I think I just wanted a community, and I think part of the certainty is you find your people when you're certain, like you know that it's this religion or that religion. Then you belong with those people, and you know you're and you're righteous about some politics, you know? And I think that's what I was looking for, a certainty that these are my people. And I think that being mixed race and being a family that's all mixed race and displaced, and every part of our family is displaced because of World War II, and that's how we all came together. So there's a lot of not belonging, running away, and
Door slams hard shut.
disowning past.
AN male 25. I wish I could say, you know, I wish I'd be interested. I'd be interested to hear some sort of study or some analysis of people who are believers, who have faith, and how that comes to bear on their life decisions and how they deal with uncertainty. If you believe there's more, if you believe that
Shifting in a chair.
as long as you're a loving, God-fearing Christian, for example, then there's more after this. You're probably not too concerned, really. Yeah. I don't know, it's a hypothesis.
A female 30. I wish I had an answer man that lived in my pocket that I could just pull out and be like I wish I had someone who could be like, here's the answer. Because otherwise I just feel like I'm standing at a craps table throwing dice.
S, male 37. Oh wow, I'm rock bottom. I've got nothing. I'm uncertain, fear, dread. I'm feeling at a fearful place. I can't move. I can't act. I'm stuck. I'm fucked. I'm dead. It's like, oh my God, I need comfort.
Right, so these two cameras are going. I'm going around here. You're going around the back. This will happen very quickly on the right, I promise you. Now, you've got two cameras left, so this side address that camera.
They don't move.
Sorry?
They stay exactly where they
Yeah,
are.
they won't move, they'll stay where they are. Okay.
So, Ian, Nalini's going to be the first person who speaks after this pause. Can you just give her, you guys make eye contact so Nalini knows she's okay to go.
All I'm going to do is just shut the camera over here.
Oh, pardon me.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. H, female 28. I had a really awakening experience where I went through an extremely dark period. I thought I was completely hopeless, and I thought I kind of wanted to die. I was almost suicidal, and I found a faith. Very slowly, it wasn't like a white light moment.
Fast car.
Very slowly, I started to piecing together my life, because a lot of things had fallen apart, and very slowly I saw miracle after miracle of like things working all of a sudden, whereas they hadn't been able to work before, and everything falling into place, whereas I thought things were falling apart. And through that, I've gained some sort of faith that's still very nebulous, and I don't really know if it's God or what, but I see that if I show up and I put in work and I do the right things, things really do start to happen. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I just try to. I have faith that everything's going to be okay, because so far it has been.
D, male, 35. This can't fail because the stakes have never been higher. Because if I was out there on my own, if I just picked up and went somewhere and I wasn't really able to get a job, and I could kind of just scrape by, and I wasn't really successful at anything, the only one who suffers is me, you know? And the only one who'd be disappointed in me would be me, and that kind of thing. But now I have a wife and a baby. And so whatever job or source of income we create out there, the stakes are we need success, and we need to work until we have it. find a way to make it happen. So completely uncertain about what that path is going to look like. But I'm forcing myself into a state of certainty. It has to work out. Am I certain that it will? No. But it has to. Okay, female, 24. I think, like my father, he had a stroke. And now he's a huge alcoholic. And I definitely smoked a lot of pot to help me get into a mindset of I don't care. So I have to just shut myself off for this long process. It takes time. It takes steps, like crying it out and feeling, you know, and eventually, and then eventually, just realizing that you have no control over this. I can't really care about it.
EM, female, 23. My dad had given me this book of maps of London, and it was the book he had taken with him to London when he went abroad. And so I carried this book with me everywhere, and it's the coolest thing. It's got all these crazy streets in it, and it's a great thing, perfect.
Truck.
And I never got lost in London, not once. And my friends would just follow me around. They wouldn't even ask questions as to where we were going, They didn't want to know. They just trusted that I could do it. And I loved that, yes. Like, I know another
Thud on table.
place in the world. I can do this. I can live somewhere else and be safe and know where I am and figure it out.
JU 23. I'm not really certain about anything big. I don't think I really struggle with people
Very loud motorbike.
defining things, because by defining something, you're limiting it. You're creating a box, you're creating a boundary, you're creating an inclusive and exclusive, and so I don't like to define. I don't like to define things.
T, male, 40. Well, I prepare a lot. Uncertainty is so much connected to fear, isn't it? It's, and this, it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. It was a big deal for me, and things were kind of falling apart, as they always do. Things were starting to fall apart, and I didn't know what was going on. We only had one day, and I stayed up all night long rehearsing the next day, and I rehearsed it over and over and over and over again, so that when I went in the next day and I'd rehearsed, okay, I'm going to say this, and then this person is going to say this, or this, in response to what I say. And then so I would come up with a response to each of those things and how to bring it back around. Because, you know, I work with a lot of people who are outside the box, you know. They just show up and they do it in their own way. And then you ask them a question. You ask them to do something, and then they find a way to tell you that they can't do that. But it takes them an hour to tell you. So then you've lost an hour or something like that, you know. You have to learn how to work with them because they're divine. But that's what I did. I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I figured it out, all of that, and it worked. The next day I went in, I was tired because I hadn't slept at all, but I just engaged with every single thing that we needed to accomplish, we got done. And everybody said things to me. They were the things that I had rehearsed. And they were, you know, there was just a slight variation, and I had a response, and I'd worked, because I'd worked so freaking hard to make this day happen. Well, all the uncertainty that would have been there if I hadn't prepared, it fell away.
EM, female, 23. I think I believe in karma. I think I do. I get the sense that, you know, when you do something bad or dishonest, or especially if it's something big or hurtful to someone, somehow the universe will make sure it comes back and bites you in the ass somehow. It'll happen, especially when you least expect it. Like, every time something like that happens to me, I'm like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Thud table.
And now,
Thud.
this sucks.
L, female, 35. And I get the feeling that we have lived prior to the life that we're living in right now. So I just don't believe that this is it. And I don't believe it ends here, because there are just too many coincidences. There are just feelings and senses when you meet some people in spirits, you know? Kind of, you know, I just have this feeling when I meet someone sometimes that I've known them before.
T, male 40. I mean, I think that's what, isn't that what utopia and heaven and is all about, is the certainty. Is a place where you're always certain, that you're always happy, and there's no suffering, and there's no passion, that passion is suffering. I guess you wouldn't be bored because you wouldn't know what being bored was, because it's heaven, so there's no nothing, there's no boring. But I don't know, I find that's the strangest fantasy. It's the strangest thing to set up, the strangest mythology. I'm insulted that we, as a human species, that we have created in our mythology. It's just like, what the hell?
EL, female, 60. I think I actually secretly have a lot of superstitions that I would never admit to anyone. But, you know, some like, if you can think of all the bad things that can happen, those are not going to be the ones that are going to happen. So you have to try to think of all of them, and then those will not be the ones that will happen. I never, in my life, you know, hit any kind of thing, or have to back up, or touch things, or like some people do that, but in my mind, something's like, okay, like this, or this, or this. Like, if you can think of it, it'll be, odds are, that it won't happen tomorrow.
AN male 25. I mean, I think it's the same process in a way that I was going through what we all go through when you glom onto something to frame your whole world perspective around and say, is that me? It is me. That is absolutely me. And then you become disillusioned because you realize that there's some little thing in there that is not me, or that I don't agree with, all right? And so then I think the way this type of person deals with that indecision is they cling to that life raft thing and they glom onto the next thing. Oh, it's not punk rock, it's goth. It's not goth, it's God. They convert. Bob Dylan. It's always struck me, like, why did that guy join the church? That kind of drastic, sudden change of life, I think, is a way of dealing with uncertainty.
AM male 33. Every once in a while I wake up and go, oh, universe, I'm going to fight you today. And then they, you know, when I go, not worth it, it's totally not worth it. Like, if I actually just kind of get on, you know, it's like wind, you know? Everyone has their unique attributes and unique things to sort of provide to society around them. But I think everybody does it in different ways. And the part of it, learning what the wind, you know, what the wind's that's unique to you, what direction it's going in. Because then you can use it rather than fight it. Haven't you ever really looked at somebody and just said, you're really this? And they're like, no, I'm a this. And, you know, and so, in effect, what you really say is,
tap.
You don't see the wind. And the wind is right there. It's actually sort of pushing you, but you're just standing there really firm and fighting the wind. Think how great it would be if you ran in the same direction as the wind, how fast you'd move.
S, male 37. I remember talking to my brother about that. How the hell do you do this? And he mentioned about you have neutrality, certain things that you do, they're simple things, you know, very simple things. He's a techie, a computer guy, but he loves his Twizzlers, his red licorice, and his Coke. You know what I mean? So there's certain things. So I do think about those things, those strategies of unmooring things when I go to a new place. So, you know, the room upstairs, I went and I sat in different sections of the room just to start. You first go into the room, it's different. I'm in a different place. I'm unmoored. But if you say sit for a bit, you start to dialogue with it more from this angle. I never looked at that fan in that little picture frame and those two windows. And even just from sitting and reading from different vantage points, and the place starts to organically, chemically interact with you more, and you get more rooted. It's more of a homification of things then. And So I was thinking of that too, of like just that process. I was reading at the same time the first of the girl with the dragon tattoo, and of him first at the very beginning when he goes to the island. So I was reading about him going, I'm going to go stir crazy here in this. So at the same time I was thinking about, and I switched positions in the room, and I was watching, and the room actually started to transform as I started to adjust to it.
R, female 32. That's partly why my certainties keep me going, in that I may have little, I'm not OCD, but I have little rituals that I like to keep, certainly when I'm feeling more overwhelmed. There's certainly things that I'll eat the same things, I'll clean certain things. I know certain things are in certain places, and when I wake up, they'll be there. And
Car.
when I get really overwhelmed, I go to the drugstore, and I look at the little sample sizes of things and the whole travel section, and it calms me down because I can try anything and not commit to it. But in the middle of the night, I've done that a bunch of times.
S, male 37. Go out. Get out of the... Go out and reach out to somebody. Go help somebody else. And that will help get things going. It's not all you. There's a thing outside. It's not all just you. You think it's your responsibility, your guilt. You know, there's things outside of you, so go outside. Ha! Get outside! AN, male 25. Being at the top of a large rock over some water, being high off, high above, and wanting to jump in. That feeling you get when you're nervous about jumping into water from a height. And I use this as a metaphor, even though I've been in this situation a lot, and I just started dealing with it by just, like before my analytical brain even had a chance to kick in. It's like, oh, that rock over there? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take off my shirt, get into my bathing suit, just walk up there and jump. Not even giving myself time or distance to register don't speculate about how bad it's going to sting or, all that. You just do it.
MA, female, 30. Sometimes when you know something through and through, like you really know it, and in life when that moment happens, if you get proven right, then you know that feeling is usually, for whatever reason, correct. Like when my mum, I feel like I had this, when my mum, like about 20 minutes, but I was trying to get home, and I was in California, and I couldn't get home, and she wasn't speaking anymore at this point, but my dad would hold the phone up, and I knew what I wanted to say to her if I were in the room, and I called my dad, and I was like, listen, you got to, because I was sitting in the house, it was 20 minutes before she passed, and my mum and I were like really sort of energetically and spiritually connected, in this intense way, and all of a sudden it was so clear. Like I remember my mum saying, she's like, I just hope that when I die, that there's love on the other side, and that whether it's people who, like my dad being there, or just that there's love on the other side waiting for me. And I remember, I was sitting in my apartment, it was so weird, it was because I was thinking, I was thinking about what was happening, but I wasn't thinking about that at all. And suddenly, it was just like that feeling that I've had in my past, where I just know this thing with such utter certainty. What my mum wants to happen is going to happen. It was so clear, and I was utterly certain. I was certain of it, and I was like, can I talk to Mum? Can you hold the phone up? And I was like, do you remember when you were in the hospital that one time, and you said how you actually felt like a bubble of love around you? You could actually feel like everyone's wishes for you and their love. Do you remember? I want you to feel like that right now, because I'm utterly certain that that's waiting for you on the other side for you too. I'm positive. It's okay. Life is so okay. It's completely okay. And I knew it, like, so certainly. And I was like, positive, you know? Like, and I feel like, and that's what she wanted.
Yep. Yep. Sure. B. M. No, sorry, not M. B. M. B. M. B. Male, 23. In the last, I'd say, year or two, I've started to be okay with not knowing certain things or pretending to know certain things. For instance, when people sometimes ask me now whether I believe in God or if I know where I'm going when I die, I just say, I don't know. It's not, no, there is no God. It's not, he's my God and my Saviour. It's just, I don't know. And I think that for some reason I've found this peace and uncertainty that I didn't have before. And I'm not sure why, but I think it's because because the edge of uncertainty is the most exciting and the most honest.
T, male, 40. I'm getting tired of everybody believing in things, and that this notion that we have to have faith is the most important thing we can have as humans. And I'm not saying, well, I mean specifically religious faith, but also faith in your country and faith in your parents and faith in your family and in your traditions and your institutions and, you know, all of those, all that stuff. And I'm not saying that that's not the answer. I'm just curious because I think it might be a little overrated. You know, I think there could be something else that would be we could be exploring, which would be uncertainty. You know, what is it to be uncertain? What is it to have curiosity as opposed to knowledge? Huh? And it kind of feels like knowledge and faith and belief stop us. Is the end of the story, you know. I believe this, end of story. I have faith in this, oh, end of story. And that, in a way, that is it's approaching the world with judgment, as opposed to approaching the world with curiosity, which is like, I don't know how I feel, maybe, right? I mean, maybe I feel this way, maybe I don't feel that way, maybe I feel another way.
I'm certain I'm alive right now. I'm certain that you and I are talking.
I find nature to be a certainty, though I think we destroy it. I do think that the
someone whispers,
like the presence around here, and these mountains, to me provide a kind of scaffolding that I can believe in. They were here, they're going to be here.
Boy shouts.
They're old mountains.
Very loud bike.
I mean, the cycles of nature provide a rhythm to walk through. They're like a metronome, you know, like you see the seasons turn.
Bike.
You see the chicks born, you see the water go high and low, and it's like, this goes on. This goes on.
Fridge, bike.
I have a really wonderful family who I love and who love me.
I know how to chop tomatoes.
Lorry brakes go shh.
I really love food.
I know how to run.
I'll feel better if I get exercise.
I know that the New York Times crossword puzzle is there to be done, and I know I can do it.
I'm certain that we'll go through it together.
I cook a really good fried egg.
I'm good with animals.
I certainly believe that there is life after this life.
I'm not fundamentally good or bad. I'm both at all times.
I really enjoy having a cup of coffee at 4 o'clock.
I'm going to die.
I love chocolate. It's always going to be good. I like having a dog.
I am certain that my mother would kill or die for me.
I know where I'm from. I know the people who are close to me.
I like ice cream.
If I throw something in the air, it will fall down.
When you're dead, you're gone for good.
This is what grass feels like.
In water, I'm certain I can swim, so I can move around, just play around.
Did you love that ending?
It was so funny. Run up there.
Well, thank you for this.
Yes,
What an egg.
good fun.